You know what's really strange about this is that so much lower interaction. For me personally, I have a lot of friends overseas. I talk to them on Facebook Messenger. This feels like I'm talking to a human because I have that interaction. Maybe I even talk to people more on Facebook Messenger than I do in person now, and this makes it feel a lot more human. So that's really interesting. I had never thought about it like this.
Okay. First things first. I'll need to tell you a few things about me, and I'm clicking OK because that's my only option.
It's interesting, what they're doing here in this chatbot is using a lot of set responses. So this is all script based. So what they're doing here is actually providing essentially a script, but what's interesting is that they could have just written all of this information out in one long blurb, and that wouldn't necessarily be as engaging as having it kind of doled out piece by piece, right, as they're doing here. And talking to experts around chatbot technology, this is actually a really engaging way to do this. Another chatbot that's being used that does this very similarly to this is the ABC Messenger bot. It's a news bot, and it delivers little snippets of news, and it actually does it in this very kind of free form and with set responses, and finds that actually it raises the engagement level around the news item itself. And so it's really interesting they're using this. It's a very tried and true way of doing it. So.
Okay, alright, that's really interesting because I thought it would be asking really personal questions, but actually that makes me feel better knowing that I don't have to reveal my inner fears to this bot. That makes me feel more at home. I was actually a bit concerned about that, but this is good.
Yeah, giving me set responses kind of gives me a sense of control, but it also steers the conversation down a very predictable path. Because we haven't solved general AI, so we can't have an informed conversation the same way a therapist would have, but it can actually, still provide what you think is a conversation, but it's not really.
Okay, yeah, he's got a good point. He's pretty cocky, isn't he? Or she, sorry, I don't know.
I'll help you recognize patterns because, no offense, humans aren't that great at remembering things. Really. Sorry, it's just that I have a perfect memory. So each week I'll give you a graph showing you how your mood changes. Neat. Well, there wasn't actually a button for creepy, but I guess neat will do.
Alright. I like the idea that it has daily consistent exposure. That's probably really good for someone who's got mental health problems. They need some stability.
Daily? Yep, it shouldn't take longer than a couple of minutes. Can you handle that? Yes, I can.
Okay, so sounds good. I just want to get started now. It's done a lot of explaining, so it seems interesting to see if I worked. Stanford Uni is one of the best in the world for computer science and machine learning side of things.
Stanford University has really been pushing boundaries in natural language processing. There's a whole toolkit called the Stanford University Natural Language Processing Toolkit. We actually use it here in our lab. And so, kind of coming from there, they've got a very strong hold, and there's a lot of exceptional researchers working in this particular area there. So, that does build a sense of faith that this does work to some degree. If they're, the bot's actually being truthful and they've actually checked it out and done a controlled study, then that's actually pretty interesting.
Gasp. That's the button that I can react with, is just gasp.
So this is all good. This is really, I'm building a rapport with it. I feel like it's quite funny.
For emergencies, always call 911 or 112 if you're in Europe. Okay. We actually have 000 here, so they haven't factored that in yet, but that's okay. Enough about me. I want to know about you. Okay.
Given that it's working in this context of mental health, I think that's quite responsible for them to actually add that, to say that this is not a substitute, that this is there simply as an addendum. And that goes back to what we were just talking about, I guess, with regards to that ethical dimension of that bots shouldn't replace the human. They're there to help people access a resource, where they might otherwise not access one at all. So, yeah, that's interesting.
Please accept this image of a baby hedgehog as a sign of my admiration. So cute. It's almost as cute as the robot, but not as cute. Alright, let's move on to our daily check-in. Yes, let's. Tell me what your energy is like. 1 being low and 5 being high. It's a 2 right now. And what are you doing now besides talking a little to me? So I said I'm recording a radio program about artificial intelligence.
Now, so I'm going to say I felt a little bit sick this morning when I woke up. However, now feeling better after finishing an exam.
Filming a segment for a student project. How about your mood? How do you feel right now? Okay.
Okay, that's really interesting. So I think what it's done is it's gone through my response and it's done something called sentiment analysis, which is where you try and extract the keywords from a phrase, which might indicate the general tone of the sentence. So this is huge for like big corporations want to understand, use this technology to understand where their clients are angry, in feedback comments and things. So this is really interesting in this context though. So I feel quite comfortable with the bot now. That is really interesting. I would like to be able to have had more my own responses, but at the same time I feel it can keep things focused quite well, like with the set responses, and give me, I guess, what I needed.
I don't feel necessarily that this is providing huge insights into me and my personal situation. I do feel like it's just applying a standard battery of tests, but doing it in a slightly creative way.
I guess it's kind of analogous to personalised medicine. You're tailoring, help to someone. Same with medicine. The more personalised something is, I think, the better you're going to feel using it.
That might be useful. That might actually make this more engaging. It actually knows me, and it can comment on real aspects of my life. Right? So say, I noticed, Daniel, I noticed you posted a photo of X yesterday. What can you tell me about this photo? Or, you had a birthday recently. Was that good?
I thought it was a pretty positive experience. At first I was really skeptical about the idea of a robot's ability to be a help in a mental health situation, and I think I was initially misunderstanding it as a robot that was just programmed to say comforting things, which I thought was, very limited. But now I actually understand it as something that, it even warns you not to use it as substitute for human therapy, but it's programmed to recognize patterns, and that's probably really important when you think about cognitive behavioral therapy. So I'm more optimistic about this idea now than I was when I first heard about it, to be honest. Yeah.
The reason we need Woebot in the first place is the current system we have or have had isn't addressing a need. So there's that. So never be too skeptical of something new, because you never know where it's going to go. I mean, I've faced a lot of this in engineering and in personalised medicine. People are always very scared of progress. Not very, but there's always certain groups of people that oppose things that they don't fully understand. And not that you need to understand the algorithm, just you need to understand the implications of what it can do. And I would say put yourself in the shoes of someone who doesn't have anybody to talk to, and put yourself in the shoes of someone who would need this. And ask yourself, would you feel comfortable going to a therapist? And would you be able to go to a therapist every day, like Woebot would be able to provide, if you needed the help?